I was at the store today and I saw this little stuffed Lola from Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Oh, that's cute.
I had to buy it.
Yeah.
I'm a sucker for these cutesy little droids.
It has very animal, like fox-like ears. Did it have ears that big? I don't even remember.
Well, in the show, they're like flaps. They're usually down.
Flaps.
So it's like, and then when it's like flying and gesticulating, they bounce up. But yeah, it does kind of look like a fox. It's got little legs. I don't know.
That's cute.
I just had to have it. So I did.
Yeah.
Treat yourself. That's what I told myself.
Treat yourself. I was going to buy an Ewok because there was I found a stuffed one at the store, but it was like $25, and I was like, yo. I was like, I like Ewoks, but $25. I was like,
yeah.
I would rather pay like, the $12 for a pop. That's gonna last longer.
Yeah, there's a whole new line of Return of the Jedi pop figures, and there is a brand new Wicket out there, so I might need to get it.
Ooh,
yeah. I do have a little stuffed Wicket that I got at Walgreens that was only like $9 or something, who like hangs out on my desk at work. So
I'll look for that.
I know. I'm adding to the collection because I've got a stuffed Dio from Rise of Skywalker. I've got my Lola here.
Dio, I don't know which one I like better. I think I like Dio because he just says Dio all the time. I like it better than Lola.
He says like, no, thank you, and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
But yeah,
such a great little.
Cute.
That one I was okay with. I was like, yeah. Babu Frick, on the other hand, I don't know. That character did redeem itself though in The Mandalorian. That little alien guy.
Oh yeah,
Babu Frick was.
Yeah.
That was really good in the Mandalorian.
It was pretty solid. Yeah, it was.
Season 3. I loved that.
I agree.
Welcome to This Endorian Life, a Star Wars podcast from the Radio Meanwhile Network. My name is Steve Rudd.
I'm Nick Gunning, and we're following the Ewoks from Return of the Jedi, the Ewok TV movies, the 80s cartoons, the comics, and beyond.
Well, I see you wrote comics in there. Was that
I tossed it in. Look at you. What a little detective. Encyclopedia Brown over here.
I'll read anything. And but I caught that. I caught that.
Good job.
So today, if you didn't guess, we are discussing Return of the Jedi Ewoks issue number 1, a one-shot comic published by Marvel Comics on April 12th, 2023.
So current.
Yeah, I felt so current. I walked in and I was like, yo, you got that issue number 1?
Yeah.
They were like, I don't know, you got to go over there and find it. And this place was wall to wall, table to table, stacked. I couldn't find it until he came over and in like 2 seconds found it. I was like, geez, my comic book looking skills.
They're rusty. They're rusty.
Bad.
I love that you went to a brick and mortar comic book store. There's not one. Like the closest one around me is like 45 minutes. So I had to get mine online, but that means that we got different covers. So let's talk about that in a minute. Let me tell you about this comic. All right. This was written by Alyssa Wong, with art by Lee Garbett, Casper Wingard, Kyle Holtz, Paulina Gancho, Java Targaglia, and Rachel Rosenberg. There are several alternate covers. I think about 6 in total. My copy is Wicket and Baga, and it's drawn by Peach Momoko. I like this one a lot. It has a very like 80s vibe. There was those Ewok storybooks that were coming out around that time, and this really is reminiscent of that. I like it quite a bit.
My copy is an image of Tebow and is by Chrissy Zula. Oh, no, wait, this is not Tebow. No, that's Logray.
I think that's movie Tebow.
No, that's Logray because he's wearing the condor bird thing on his head. And he's got the staff. So Tebow is the.
Tebow's in the back. Okay, Tebow's in the background, but Logray's front and center in yours.
Yeah, this is Logray right here.
Okay,
yeah, they're great. The covers are great.
I know they really are.
The one that like when you were like, oh, this is the comic to get. And it had that really creepy version of Wicket. I was just like,
close up. Yeah.
So they only had the 2. They had that one and this one. And I was just like, I just don't know if I could get that comic, man. It's so weird. Like I love Wicket, but like they took probably the worst photo of Wicket and then like made it. And then they sucked the color out of it. So it looked really creepy.
Well, yeah, I was really drawn to mine just because of the nostalgia factor. I thought it was really great, but you're right. The main Wicket one was a little creepy, but I think yours is it's neck and neck. Which one of these two is better? Very cool.
Yeah, this one, they're just happy. They're having fun time. I was just like, when I saw, I almost left without the other one, and then I grabbed it at the last second. I was like, I'm taking this one.
Yeah.
There's no way.
Yeah. Chrissy Zullo did that cover. Did we ever say that?
I think I did. Chrissy Zullo. Yeah,
Chrissy Zullo. Yeah.
Very good
All right.
job. Very good job.
Our featured creative on this endeavor is the author Alyssa Wong. She has worked extensively in Star Wars comics, most notably on the long-running series Dr. Aphra, which follows one of Vader's apprentices. Have you read any of that? Have you come across this character at all?
Not at all. Dr.
I don't.
Afra. Another doctor, right? I mean, the
Yeah,
only
there you go.
doctors work.
I guess
it's
so.
Lord Vader and then Doctor everyone after
Somebody
that.
else. Yeah. I have read this character in the main line. I think actually in the Vader title I have, but I don't think I've read just the solo Dr. Aphra title. For a while there, when Marvel got the rights back from Dark Horse, there was just this Star Wars boom where like they started the mainline Star Wars series, they started an ongoing Darth Vader, and then there was like, you know, miniseries for Leia and Lando and Han and Chewbacca. There was an ongoing Poe Dameron and Black Squadron series. It was everywhere.
Ooh,
so like, I started and I was like, oh, I'm going to read the new Star Wars stuff, and then it was just so many that eventually I was kind of like, you know, it's too many. So I still pick them up occasionally. Yeah. You know, I did read the whole Poe Dameron series. I read that straight through. And the Princess Leia one is pretty cool because it focuses primarily on her dealing with the aftermath of Alderaan. You know, like basically people being like, come be our queen. You're the queen of Alderaan now. You know, and it was just kind of a neat little focus.
Oh, yeah. She's still the princess. I didn't even realize it. You know, or your worship, depending on your...
Yeah, right, of course. The one that was like heartbreaking, there's two. The Lando miniseries, you get all the backstory on Lobot, and it was like, whoa. I never knew I cared about Lobot this much, but it was pretty good.
Yeah.
There was a C-3PO one shot about how he got the red leg or red arm in Force Awakens. I can't remember.
Arm, because his left leg or right leg is silver. Right. So it's his arm. He's like, oh, you know, did you want to know how I got my red arm? And it's like they just freeze over, and it's just like, wait,
that's
what?
Another one. That's another one that's like a really like emotionally heavy comic. So
yeah, I'll have to look at. You know, when I went to the store, I went to Wade's Comic Madness in Levittown, PA. We have a job site out there. So on my way home, I was like, going by this place. It's right there, and man, wall to wall comics, figurines, everything is Star Wars. I had to get out of there because if I didn't, I would have left with like, 15 issues of different random Star Wars comics or Marvel comics, DC or anything. But yeah, really cool place. Really cool place. So I'm glad I went to a brick and mortar place.
All right. So are you going back to this place? That's what I need to know. Is it going to be a new stop on the cycle?
I think I might go back because there was a couple issues. I had to leave. It was like one of those like, all right, just buy my comic, get out of here. I'll get stuck in. Actually, first place that I've been to, a comic book store that was not pop heavy. There's a place nearer to me.
Do you mean like Funko Pop heavy?
Yeah, Funko Pop, where it's just like you walk inside and they're selling like 10,000 Funko Pops, and then like they only got a little bit of room for comics, and it's just like, this isn't a comic store, it's a pop store,
Yep.
But no, this Wade's Comic Madness, man, they could have used the Chinese restaurant space next door and still would have been packed.
Wow.
But like the childhood memories of like walking into a comic book store, that was it, man. Like stuff hanging from the ceilings, models.
Yes.
Like, it was great, man. I was just like, it feels so good to be back in a place like this.
I mean, anytime I'm anywhere where there's a comic book store, I like to go into it. My go-to when I have to order something online is Midtown Comics. They have, they're like brick and mortar stuff is right in New York City. So when we're in the city, like I always go there, and you can, like anything you want, you can buy and be like, all right, and now just ship this back to me, which is cool, because you don't have to worry about like trying to drag things on trains and stuff. But yeah. Basically, so anyway, I got my hands on it. Physical copy, and I had a good time with it. So shall we dive into this?
Yeah, let's first go over to publisher summary. Tale of the Ewoks. On the moon of Endor, occupied by the species called Ewoks, a group of these stout creatures has gathered around the fire to recount tales of triumph, defeat, and honor.
Horror.
Oh, it does say horror.
Yeah.
And horror.
That's an important distinction.
It's true. In the art-forward manner of storytelling, watch An eclectic group of artists interpret the stories from the unique minds of Ewoks in a manner only they can envision. This can't-miss issue of Star Wars fans of mirth, merriment, and artistry is the book you've been craving.
The comic starts with a crawl. We get a classic Star Wars crawl at the beginning, and it's this.
Ooh, yeah.
Ewoks. On the forest moon of Endor, a village of Ewoks gather around a fire to share tales of adventure and wonder. No place is safe from the war tearing the galaxy apart, not even the Ewoks' home. But for one night, their stories of courage, fear, and determination will unite them and bring them hope. Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah.
So we get 3 stories in here. They're wordless. So that's kind of cool. I liked that.
It's like, wow, that didn't take me long to read because it was much.
Yeah.
But well, I mean, like the art was great. So let me bring us through the
yeah, please.
Mini synopsis here. The collection includes the stories: The Walkling's Tale. Logray spins a cute tale to the Walklings that ultimately leads the enemies becoming friends.
The art in that one was by Paulina Ganacho.
Yeah, I like that artwork. Paplu's Tale. Paplu, frustrated that Logray's tale ends happy, tells a grim tale of darkness and death. Who did that?
Art by Kyle Holtz and Rachel Rosenberg.
Very good as well.
Mm-hmm.
Then ending with Peekba's tale. Before the Walklings can go to bed scared, Peekba tells a dreamer's tale of resourcefulness and ingenuity. The tired Walklings go to sleep, but one steals out of bed to put its courage to the test with the shadows of the fire pit, ultimately falling asleep, dreaming of the stars.
I love it.
Very good. Who did the artwork for that one?
Peepka's Tale was by Casper Wingard.
Very good as well.
Agreed.
So let's Walkling's Tale. What did you think about that artwork?
You know, I liked that one a lot. I like that sort of. It's very like bubbly and like kid friendly kind of art. You know, it's simplified. Yeah. It feels cartoony, but in like an elegant way. It's really clear to see the emotions that the characters are experiencing, and I thought that it told clearly like the most kid friendly story out of all of them. I liked it quite a bit. I like the colors. I like the style. What about you?
I think it fit really well. I remember opening it and like, you know, you kind of open it and then there is like, you know, traditional comic artwork. And then the next page you see both where it's, you know, the fire pit and then all of a sudden the Walkling's Tale. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
Like all of a sudden, you know, and then I read through it and I was like, man, that really fits. It really fits.
Well, I like because we get this frame story of Logray and the Ewoks gathered around the fire telling stories to each other. And I liked that in Walkling's Tale, you even get a panel of Logray kind of telling the story.
It's kind of like almost like a Romeo and Juliet type deal where like they meet and they want to be friends.
Yeah.
But their parents are like, no, you know? And so,
yeah.
You know, at the end, they kind of make their parents come around and they all share, you know, a snack with each other. And that's, I thought it was really cool. The artwork it works so well. I don't think I could read many graphic novels with that kind of artwork because it's more towards my kids. But man, after I was done with that tale, I was just like, that was perfect.
Yeah.
That was, you know, just it just fits so well. Like, could you imagine if the next story was this artwork?
What a jump. What a jump.
Oh, man.
I like this one, I think, because, you know, we're partial, for better or worse, to the Ewoks cartoon. And this was the one that incorporated so many elements from that. Because, of course, we have the Dulocs, which are pretty much exclusive to the Ewoks cartoons. Yeah. And then we had cameos from Wicket and Nisa and the animated series version of Paplu. So we actually saw, like, Nisa in there. I wondered if that was supposed to be Milani or Winda, like Wicket's sister. I looked it up, and the author has named the Walkling Faloo, Falloo. So it's an original character.
Oh, okay.
And the Duloc's name is Eemee, Eemee.
Oh,
so
Eemee.
Yeah, so they're just new characters sort of existing because, you know, we're always talking about let's see more about the village. So here we go. We got a little bit more, but
new characters.
I really liked how basically like Eemee, the Duloc, is teaching Faloo like what she can and can't eat in the forest. And she's like drawing pictures on the wall. It's like, no, don't eat this. And so it was kind of like there was some beauty in it because, you know, they're communicating non-verbally. They're communicating across like languages and stuff. And it kind of because it's a wordless story, it functions that way, like in reality as well. Anybody could pick up this story and get the basics, regardless of the language they speak, which, I think is just cool.
Yeah, you can totally tell. I mean, it even, there's even a kind of a page where it appears that the Ewok parents are, kind of telling them that like Dulocs are bad. You see like evil
yeah.
Dulocs, and then they meet up and, they meet up in the forest and she shares a flower crown with her, and they're like, oh,
it's cute.
This is cute.
It's
and
cute.
then you see another block where, the little Ewok is like, want your parents to be mad? That's what it kind of looks like. It's like looks like two mad Dulocs with a question mark. And she's like, nah, like she's answering like she's just dismissing their reactions. Like, they won't mind. And it's just,
it'll be fine. It'll be fine. They're so open-minded. It's funny that you read this as like sort of a Romeo and Juliet kind of thing, because I thought that they were both just little girls meeting in the woods and just being friends.
Oh, well, I didn't mean like boy girl. I mean they're I think they are two girls. I just meant it.
Oh, do you?
Okay.
Like
it's like the.
Oh yeah, sure.
Like
forbidden.
That.
Yeah.
Like it's forbidden. Like they're not like the Capulets and Montagues. You're not allowed to cohort or mingle with each other, and they do. They find out. Like,
I saw the Leonardo DiCaprio movie in the '90s, so yeah, I know all about that.
So it's definitely all skewed. Oh, that's really how the story goes. Could you imagine?
I know. So we go from the most kid-friendly story in the collection to the most hardcore story in the collection. And right away, I was reminded of Night of the Gorax, which we covered with Sally back for the Halloween special.
Is this the same artist?
I had the same thought, but no, it's not. They're different.
Oh, wow.
I know. But it's a lot of like the muted, there's even more of a limited color here. The Night of the Gorax used a couple different, but this is basically just like black, white, and the reddish color that is the Ewoks like headdress. But pretty intense. So this is Paplu trying to like freak the kids out by telling him this story. And right away we come across we start close up on like the dead open eye of an Ewok and like a bug landing on it, and it's like, whoa. That was a little surprising.
It is pretty gross, and his face is all like, like
I know.
And I was just like, oh, he's just sitting there, and then I look and I'm like, oh no, he's dead, just laying there. Like you could tell by his hand, his left hand. It's obvious he's obviously dead.
Yeah. And then I mean we see, as it keeps going, we see like stormtrooper skeletons, we see like a bunch of smashed in helmets and everything, and I guess spoiler alert, the Gorak gets him and just swallows the Ewok whole, which is
chomp, done. And then we see Logray bonking him on the head for telling such a
for scaring the kids.
Great story. Yeah, it's so great.
Did you like it?
I liked it. I mean, I thought it was really cool that like the artist did everything with basically two colors, black and red, right? I can't count the white because that's probably just the absence of, probably just didn't draw there.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, like, man, super dark. And I thought this is the darkest thing since Night of the Gorax that we've seen. Like, and I thought, oh, he's going to make it, and you turn the page and you're like, oh man.
Nope.
He did not make it.
He doesn't.
I thought, oh yeah, he's gonna pop out, or the Gorax is gonna be like, oh, puke, and like spit him out. No, it just ends with death, which is probably a typical tale they would tell, right? Like to get the Walklings to not
probably,
roam
to
away
not
from the village. Made sense. Like Logray like bonks him on the head and just kind of has his face of like, oh my gosh, like like again, like, or somebody did it again, like, and he's kind of looking like, what? That's I just thought that was such a absolute opposite of the story beforehand, which is, it works. You got the cute tail, you got the scary one, like just any fire pit. It's when we went camping, they're like, scary stories, and I'm like,
you got
really?
Tell
like,
the scary
how do you
one.
know stuff like this? They just know, like, oh, we're on the fire. Tell a scary story. Okay.
It just happens. The final in the collection, art-wise, I feel like kind of splits the difference, because
it does.
It's definitely it splits the difference, I think, both in art and in tone, because It's definitely a more cartoony look, but it's also more realistic than the first one. The trees and the backgrounds and everything.
If you notice, it kind of changes. I don't know what I would describe it as. Like the contrast or the detail would almost change.
Mm-hmm.
Some scenes, like one of my favorite blocks of the comic is the scout trooper on the speeder bike.
Yeah.
And it has this, the big like going through and it's such a cool block.
There's really great depth in it.
Yeah, it just goes so far. And then the next one under it, all of a sudden the contrast like goes away, and it's like you used a thicker pencil.
Mm-hmm.
And then like if you look at the next page, there's like a bunch of different aspects, different like detailed. Like one looks like pencil and then like paintbrush, and the other one looks like only paintbrush.
Yeah, I was gonna say one's almost like watercolor in the background.
Yeah, and one has like the typical comic dot type.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you see that kind of meshed in there as well. But then other blocks, it doesn't have that.
But I think like with that though, it still feels cohesive. You know what I mean? It doesn't feel like we're doing something different now. Like it all kind of fits in what they're going for.
I don't know why it does, but it does, and it's
it does.
I like it.
I think the color palette really ties it together. But we start with a pretty dark opening. Peepka has a little tripwire, for the scout trooper, and he flies off, his helmet flies off, and he's like begging for mercy, and she bashes his skull in.
And it's a crack with the
It's a lot. It's a lot.
And then the block after it is like the face down scout trooper.
Yes, I know. That's what I mean. It's like kind of more in line with number 2.
Yeah, it's so good. Like the slow. It looks like a slow-mo walk. Just slow-mo walk away from the dead body. It's great.
Mm-hmm. Well, and then as we go on, we see she's like a scavenger and she's building a ship, and the other Ewoks. I can't tell if they're making fun of her, if they're teasing her, or if they're like cheering her on. But regardless, she doesn't care.
I think they're making fun of her.
I kind of do too, but she's committed to making this work.
One's like kicking a piece of metal, like and she's got that kind of like that gritty, determined face, kind of like scowling a little bit while she's working on her thing. And then we do see one of the Ewoks pull up and pull apart.
Oh yeah, you're right.
The ship that she's making, and she puts it back together, and then is that night chilling, laying against it, looking up into the stars, dreaming. I thought that to me, I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
I really like that. That like we get an Ewok that's like, I wonder what's out there.
Yeah, an Ewok that wants
We've
more.
never had that.
Not really.
No one really. I mean, it's all like, oh, that's stuff's out there, but like they keep having visitors, but nobody's like,
yeah.
I wonder where they're coming.
We should go.
Yeah.
She ultimately makes it. I mean, she takes off. The ship is space worthy, and she hits it.
She's off.
We get a cute little tag with the Ewoks going to bed.
Yep.
And this little walkling sees a shadow that looks like a Gorax, and she gets up with her spear to fight it, and then goes to sleep with her little toy X-wing.
Yeah. Do you notice though that it's like an homage to all 3 of the stories? There's the flower crown, the spear, and the ship.
Yeah, you're right.
And that's all.
You're right.
So I thought that was really clever.
I didn't even pick that up. You're right.
They did that.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's a fun ending, and then the walkling kind of just like walks backwards into bed, lies down, plays.
Yeah, she's emboldened. The stories.
Totally.
The stories were pretty good. So Peepka, I read this novel called Last Shot, a Han and Lando novel. It was by Daniel Jose Older. Came out in 2018. I didn't love the book, but a lot of it because the Han Lando relationship is a lot of like, hey, old buddy, old pal, and it just got a little old. But Peepka is actually a character in that, and she's like hardcore. Nice to have that little connection there.
Really cool though.
All right, well, what is your favorite of the 3?
I liked Peepka's tale the best.
Yeah,
I really love it.
That's really strong.
The whole page towards the end where she's looking up at the stars, she's like by her little lantern. She stands up. You see her looking up you see the back of her head looking up at the stars. Then you kind of see her with her goggles. The next frame is she had put them on and is holding a wrench in her hand, like she's determined, like tomorrow's the day. I'm gonna get out there. And I just thought that was really cool. And the color, the purpley color of the night and the starry sky just was just like, I was like, oh yeah, you go. You know,
I would be really interested to know the process of making this. Like, how much is Alyssa Wong as the author being like, okay, on this page, these are the things that has to happen. Like, I wonder if it's that, or I wonder if it's more specific. Like, here she's gazing out into the stars, make that happen. Because there must have been a pretty tight collaboration to make the story like work the way it does. Because I think they all really do work. I lean towards a Walkling's Tale.
Oh, you like the Walkling's Tale?
Yeah, I think that's the one I like the best. Well, again, for nostalgia's sake, I love seeing the Dulocks. I love seeing like Nisa and seeing sort of the cartoon world expanded. But I think just the style of it really lends itself. It felt the most modern to me out of the three of them.
It did, yeah.
And even though it's geared towards a younger crowd, it feels like it would fit really well with like have an ongoing Ewoks like webtoon comic on the app, or Marvel has these Infinity comics that they make that are designed for you to like scroll through on your phone, so it's just an infinite scroll. And I feel like an Ewok comics, a wordless Ewok comic in that style, I think would be super popular and would fit right in.
Yeah, almost like maybe like a manga, right? Like a wordless manga or something like that.
The middle one, Paplu's Tale, to me had the most like manga sort of vibe. The muted color, the tease of it all. I felt like there was a lot of manga influences in that one. Definitely, that was probably my least favorite, just because it felt more just like a transition. Like it felt like, all right, you had your light one, here's your dark one, and here's sort of like the most legit one.
Yeah.
And so the middle one is the one that did the least for me, but I think it served its purpose. It's just, I was like, whatever.
Yeah. So I think the Walkling's Tale, I did like that one, but I feel like that was good because it probably could have been an episode of the show.
Oh, sure.
It felt like it should have been an episode of the show. Whereas Peak Buzz, I was just like, you could have a whole series on this. Like that was the one that I was just like,
I know,
man, like, wait a minute. We don't know if she makes it. I mean, she's got this smile on her face, and the cockpit is a little bit purpley-ish. So I got to wonder if she's in space at that point,
Yeah.
And so it's
yeah.
But it's like, I don't know. Like behind her is, I mean, I guess she does. So it did occur to me, like, wonder if she's just like imagining it. But no, I think she does.
Yeah,
she does get out of there.
It's got a great tease, right? I mean, you don't really see her you don't see her landing on a planet or something. It's just kind of like, there she goes. Best of luck.
To me, this could be a series.
I'd watch it. I'd read it.
Like watch, read. It just seemed like, oh, cool. Here's like a quirky, out of the box Ewok that we've really never met before. All of them are about, tradition. Let's do this. My belt of honor, tradition. We need to do the passage of a warrior, and all these, like all this stuff. And then here's the one that's just like, I don't know. I kind of like want to see what's out there, And they all make fun of her, like, you're ridiculous. You shouldn't do that. And then she does. It's just like, oh,
it's Luke Skywalker, right? I mean, it's him being like, I don't want to be here another season. I gotta like get out there. That's sort of what Peak was doing here.
Power converters,
power converters. What is your Oak of Arc moment of this collection, Steve?
It's really tough. I did think about that, and I think it's just the fact that Peekba's tale ends on. I mean, do you call it? I guess it's a cliffhanger, right? Because she kind of has like the grin, but like I would have loved like a far off shot so that I know like she made it into space. I think I just wanted that, but I don't know. Like I don't know if I saw it, I'd be like, oh, cool, she made it, and then it kind of completes it. So it's almost like the writer's doing it on purpose, leaving it out so that we don't know. And it's just like, oh, right. I feel like I have to know, and so
I think that's what makes it good.
Yeah. I think you're probably right. That is what makes it good. But I was still just like, no, you turn the page and it's like the Walklings yawning, and I was just like, no, I gotta know what happened. Like, oh, come on.
My Oak of Arc is also in Peekba's tale. It's the murder in the beginning. I just feel like it's a darkness that like doesn't really, it kind of takes away from like the wonder of the rest of it, especially because he's like, help, and she kills him, and then we have to see him like all dead and face down. I would have rather just had the crash and let you just assume that stuff happened. So that took me out of it a little bit.
Between Pikpa and the Empire, I guess. I mean, there's probably 20 different funny ways or cool ways that could have been, but I don't know. It makes her look like a badass.
It does. No, there's no question. There's no question. Bam! So that must be what they're going for. Ichiwawa moment.
I think the Ichiwawa moment. My Ichiwawa moment was the very last frame of the Walkling's tail, when I was just like, oh, cool. They all came together. Yeah. The moment that, like, the Ewoks and the Duloks, and it's just like, look, we can exist together, and I just thought that was fun.
It is nice.
So, what about yourself?
I just really liked the Walkling's tail, but I guess I'm gonna give it to the Duloks, because season 2 of the show, we were really missing the Duloks, and she took something from the cartoon that not a lot of people know about.
Yeah.
And kind of gave the Duloks a little bit more personality and a little bit more development. And I just thought that was cool. I think it works alone. I think if you've never seen the show, it makes sense. It's like there's Ewoks and then this other creature, and we get clearly that they're not supposed to hang out. So I don't think you need to see the show to know that.
Oh yeah, good point. You really don't. Yeah, you can just just are like, oh, these must be mortal enemies.
Right. That's clear from the art.
Right. I just think, and they're just drawn so well too.
Mm-hmm.
Because the Duloks are, I mean, we've seen them normal. We've seen them drawn very ugly, right? Like the Night of the Gorax, right? Wasn't there? There was
some dark Dulok action in that.
There was some dark Dulok. Yeah, they looked like okay. They are kind of formidable, right?
Yeah.
But here, like everyone's just drawn real cute, and I was just like, oh.
Yeah,
they're drawn so simply, and they look like Dulok. They're immediately recognizable. It's wild.
Yeah, it's very cute. I appreciate the nod to the cartoons, and I think it was well done.
I wonder if they actually watched the show. They had to have watched the shows, right? They had to.
I would think. Yeah, at least a sampling. Sure. Well, I had a good time with this. I appreciate the attention to the Ewoks. I like this little one shot. I wish there were more. Maybe there will be, but I think this was a pretty fun. If you're a fan of the Ewoks like us, or just in general, if you're, celebrating the Return of the Jedi's 40th, as we're going to be doing in our next episode.
We absolutely are. Tell us a little bit about that.
Steve and I are reading the Return of the Jedi novelization by James Caan, and I've been taking pictures of things because, it's mostly straightforward, but every once in a while they'll say something and I'll be like, what? So I'm sure you, king of the nitpickers, will look at this and be able to pull some interesting
stuff. I'll try not to.
All right. Well, we'll be diving in next time. I'll see you then.
I will see you then as well. This Endorian Life was brought to you by the Radio Meanwhile Network. Other shows on the network include 90s Music Got Me Like, 9021 Here We Go, and previously on X-Men. Share your thoughts on this and upcoming episodes by following us on Facebook or Twitter at Endorian Life. And please rate, subscribe, and share the show wherever you get your podcasts.